So on the very first episode, we're gonna go through Taoism, which is hands down the best teaching I've ever received. I'm very thankful that I found this. This has, in terms of how it's changed my life, it has just removed all sense of anxiety or worry that it's not going to go out, that the future won't pan out in a way that isn't okay in some way. Like this gives you hope. Okay, so it's important to learn about, and also it will change the view on how you look at suffering in your life and bad things and stuff like that. So it arose out of Han, China, early China, 800 BC, I want to say. I don't know if that's right, but it's around there. Much of its ideals were passed on and sort of influenced Zen Buddhism in Japan right now, actually. And so Taoism, this is a common symbol used just in all Eastern wisdoms. The yin and yang, or typically it's depicted as two koi fish, a black one and a white one. And so the Western mind seems to, in my opinion, have gotten caught up in the differences between these two fish, which is it's their nature, of course. They represent good and bad and evil and, good, virtue, whatever you want to call it. They represent the opposites in the world, right? But there's a reason that they're swimming in a circle, right? It's not because they're trying to eat each other, right? And that seems to be the Western mind, is that when we see bad things, when we see this fish or this fish, whichever one we don't like the most, we try and push it away. We try and let the other win. But it's unrealistic. It would never happen, because if the black fish were ever to win, if you were to consume the white fish, if your life were to become all good or all bad, it would be void. It would be nothing. It would be a bleak existence, to say the least. Right? So the contrast between these two is immensely important, and I will tell you why after I redraw it. Because they create life. It's simple, really. Without contrast, we'd have void. We just saw that we'd have nothing. And so, what do we do about this? How is this helpful to us, right? We accept it because we're a part of it, right? And we were gifted the consciousness, which, in my opinion, is the ability to traverse this, to traverse suffering and pain and success and virtue and, good and bad. And so how the Tao relates to this, so that's the very simple realization. It's that the necessity of good and bad are like two sticks leaning up, pointed at each other. And the second that one falls, the other collapses. There's no way to change that. There's nothing we can do. So we live in it, we move in it, we enjoy it, right? Now the Tao. So, the most common book referred to in speaking of the Tao is the Tao Te Ching. I have that right here. I will read. This translation is by Jonathan Starr. It was written by Lao Tzu. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but this is an amazing book. The Jonathan Starr translation is good as well. So, go buy that or read that or whatever you want to do with that. So, you have the Tao. We're not going to focus so much on that word, but these two, Tao and Te. Tao is translated to the way. I believe, I'm not sure what language that goes back to, but I know that this is translated into the way, and then Te is translated into acted. But for sake of lesson, we're going to translate that to trod or walked, right? So, Tao is this. Tao is this great circle, right? They call it the great emptiness that fulfills all things, because it is the boundary of life which we all live. Right? It's the current moment. It's what carries us through all of this good and all of this bad. It's this thing that we all exist in. No one exists outside of it. nothing exists outside of it. It's all that is. It's all that we know. And there's a kind of gentleness to it, a kind of grace that this book highlights very well that I cannot put into great terms, but there is a goodness to it. It's not to be feared, regardless of its name or the fact that, it's boundless, it's infinite, you can't escape it, you can't get out of it, everyone's in it. It makes it this grand thing, right? But it's like so intricately woven into everything that it's nothing to be feared, And without us, right, we erase what's in the middle, the circle is just nothing, right? So, the way, travel. So, this book essentially highlights how to traverse the Tao, right? Because the Tao itself is the way. And then acted, traveled, walked, experienced, observed, loved, hated, right? So, I'm going to read a few verses here. And I'll turn my beautiful face towards the camera. All right. Verse 24, the Tao Te Ching. Where are we at here? On his tiptoes, man is not steady. Taking long strides, he cannot keep pace. To the self-serving, nothing shines forth. To the self-promoting, nothing is distinguished. To the self-appointing, nothing bears fruit. To the self-righteous, nothing endures. From the viewpoint of Tao, this self-indulgence is like rotting food and painful growths on the body, things that all creatures despise. So wild onto them, when walking the path of Tao, this is the very stuff that must be uprooted, thrown out, and left behind. And so this is good. This will relate much to what we're going to talk about in the second episode, which is Buddhism, because it's saying that there is no self here. There is no you. You exist in this thing, yes, but you're not separate from it, right? So this is what it's like. So the second that you begin to think that there's a you, you've put yourself over here, right? So this is you, and this is everything else. And remember, we said nothing exists outside of the Tao. So what are you doing over here? Like, first of all, you're not even over there. You're right here, right? It's like, it sounds stupid. It's hard to explain, but you can't escape the Tao, right? So the second that you think that there's a you, in which applying that you and the Tao are separate things, you're wrong, because you are a part of the Tao as much as a leaf is a part of a tree, right? So, next verse, verse 26, the inner is foundation of the outer, the still is the master of the restless. The sage travels all day, yet never leaves his inner treasure. Though the views are captivating and beg attention, he remains calm and uninvolved. Tell me, does the lord of a great empire go out begging for rice? One who seeks his treasure in the outer world is cut off from his own roots. Without roots, he becomes restless. Being restless, his mind is weak. And with a mind such as this, he loses all command below heaven. I'm not reading all of them, obviously, so you'll have to go get your own copy. Oh, here we are. And so this is a great representation of how to move with the Tao rather than discord from it. One who knows others is intelligent. One who knows himself is enlightened. One who conquers others is strong. One who conquers himself is all-powerful. One who approaches life with force surely gets something. One who remains content where he is surely gets everything. One who gives himself to his position surely lives long. One who gives himself to Tao surely lives forever. Man, I might have to go back. There's one about... There's a very great verse about how to see the Tao in reality. May I find it? Well, essentially it was when you see, oh my gosh, can I remember it? I might be able to remember it, I'm going to keep it a buck. I really would just love to find it instead. Okay, I'm not going to waste your time. When the best seeker hears of Tao, verse 41, when the best seeker hears of Tao, he strives with great effort to know it. When an average seeker hears of Tao, he thinks of it now and again. When the poor seeker hears of Tao, he laughs out loud. Tao is always becoming what we have need for it to become. If it could not do this, it would not be Tao. There is an old saying, the clear way seems clouded, the straight way seems crooked. The sure way seems unsteady, the greatest powers seem weak, the purest white seems tainted, the abundant seems empty, the stable seems shaky. The certain seems false, the great square has no corners, the great vessel is never filled. A beginner may be clumsy, but after practice, what talent? A large drum may sit silently, but when banged, what noise? Tao lies hidden, yet it alone is the glorious light of this world. Verse 43, possibly my favorite verse. The most yielding thing in the world will overcome the most rigid. The most empty thing in the world will overcome the most full. From this comes a lesson. Stillness benefits more than action. Silence benefits more than words. Rare indeed are those who are still. Rare indeed are those who are silent. And so I say, rare indeed are those who obtain the bounty of this world. I really, really want to find this family one. I found it. Verse 54, my second favorite verse, because 43 is my favorite. Truth once established can never be uprooted. Goodness once embedded can never be stripped away. A sacrifice to a higher cause is never lost. An offering to an ancestor never goes to waste. When a person embodies Tao, his heart becomes true. When a family embodies Tao, it thrives. When a village embodies Tao, it is protected. When a country embodies Tao, it prospers. When the world embodies Tao, it reveals its perfection. Tao is everywhere. It has become everything. To truly see it as it is, see it in a person, see it as a person. In a family, see it as a family. In a country, see it as a country. In the world, see it as the world. How have I come to know this? Tao has shown me. Tao has all this. I love that one because it represents how important the Tao is in the world, right? Because it just seems small to the individual mind, you know? Like, why should I embody this thing, right? Why should I travel away? Well, because if you did, and the man next to you did, and the man next to him did, you know, soon you have a village that embodies Tao, that is protected, a country that prospers. And when the world embodies Tao, it reveals its perfection. It just explains the nature of things, right? Because when we all get in this moment, we all see what's right from wrong, you know? And I feel like technology currently is what's dragging us out of the moment, so to say. It's like reality in a compact version, so you really miss out on the Tao. It's like squeezing the Tao into a box and staring at it, but it'll never be the Tao, you know? Like, you can't catch wind in a bag and expect it to flow, right? It's just not how it works. You can't, like, trap fire and expect it to stay lit. Okay. So, now that we know what the Tao is, how to travel the Tao, essentially, we're going to, because I don't know if you can see this bottom portion here, I'm going to erase this. Because now, I'm going to go a little further than beyond what I was just taught. And I'm going to go into how I apply this, why it's useful, right? And so, when you see these two things as synonymous, right? You start to gauge things on not just how and what they are, but how and what they will be, right? Because now you can see, like, you see good and bad come hand in hand, right? So let's say you have a good night, right? You go and you get drunk or something like that. The next day, you're going to feel bad because you're going to be hungover, right? So some people like to go way up here and then just crash down. And then what they do, this is so smart of them, they just go drink again. Guess what happens? Boom, because now they've done it 2 days in a row. So now it kind of builds, right? But notice this, that when you keep making bad decisions, you only ever get so fucking high. And these bad decisions, they add up, right? Because you had to do laundry this day. You had school to do this day. You skipped a class. So it keeps going down and down and down. And eventually, you spiraled into the floor. We don't want to be there. So, what we do, we backtrack. Right? We stop making stupid decisions for a very temporary good that does not result in a long-term good, right? So, do this instead. We start with intentional suffering, right? Which is the gym, work, right? Because you're making money, it pushes you forward in life. You get more money, you can provide for yourself and maybe your family if you have that. So you do these things intentionally. You suffer intentionally, right? Boom, you get here, right? You feel good, right? Because you suffered. You get off of that long shift and you're like, damn, that sucked. But I made some money, right? You get off of the gym, holy shit, that workout was hard. That shit sucked, right? Right? You got better. You got a little bit better, right? And so now, and if you rewind this when I'm done, the charts are the same but just flipped. So it just depends on your actions over time, right? And so you go, maybe you're more sore, right? So maybe you suffer even harder the next day, right? Gym, work, I'm not going to keep writing it out, but gym and work, you get all the way up here. Because now you've got 2 days worth of work, and you've gone to the gym 2 days in a row, right? So you go down, you fucking suffer again, right? But this day, you're only as sore as the last day, right? This one's kind of, you're feeling better, right? Gym, work. Now you've got 3 days worth of pay. You've gone to the gym 3 days in a row. You feel great about yourself because you've done those things, right? And so when you look at your life, you need to see, am I consistently chasing good feelings only to crash lower and lower and lower every single time? Because as time moves on as well, let's say I do this for a year, right? My base level, right, I'm going to start just up here every day. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when I go to suffer, like my base level is just going to keep bouncing right back up, and I'm going to just be happier and happier and happier and happier. Like I'm just going to be surrounded by so much good because I'm willing to suffer to get it, right? And this is my interpretation of Taoism through time, because I do think that while you can live with the Tao, I think it's important once you start living with the Tao to take a look at all of your actions and make sure that they're in line with it, right? Because the Tao, another thing is, nature loves courage, right? So if you're willing to just dream the impossible dream, and you're willing to just jump into the abyss, you'll realize very quickly it's a feather bed. You'll realize very quickly that this world wants you to win. Because you're a part of it. You are a part of it. You can't escape the Tao. The Tao is you, right? And the Tao is growth and change over time. Now change is an important part of that, because change is going to the gym. Change is that suck, right? But if we can conquer that, and if we can use it to our ability, we can be great. And so it's just it's something to realize. It's something to have in the back of your mind. It's not something to follow like a lot of Western religions. They'll have like rules and such, like don't do this, don't do that, right? It's not any of that. The Tao doesn't care what you do. You can't escape the Tao. It has no will. And you are as much a part of the Tao as anything else. The Tao is closer to you than you are to yourself. And so when you go out looking for the Tao, it's like walking through a wood with lanterns looking for fire. You already have it. You can't lose it. You've had it since the beginning, right? And so I think that's it. I think that's all I have for Taoism. I might skim through here, see if we have another good verse. Yes. A few more verses and I'll let y'all go. Verse 14. Eyes look but cannot see it. Ears listen but cannot hear it. Hands grasp but cannot touch it. Beyond the senses lies the great unity, invisible, inaudible, intangible. What rises up appears bright. What settles down appears dark. Yet there is neither darkness nor light, just an unbroken dance of shadows. Just nothing to fullness. From nothing to fullness, and back again to nothingness. This formless form, this imageless image, cannot be grasped by mind or might. Try to face it, in what place will you stand? Try to follow it, to what place will you go? Know that which is beyond all beginnings, and you will know everything here and now, and everything in this moment. You will know the eternal Tao. So this puts perfectly into words what I'm trying to say by the Tao is everything, right? Try to face it, in what place will you stand? And so that's to say, you can't, it's all around you, right? You can't point it out, because that distinguishes that thing from everything around you, and you can't point at everything. Try to follow it, to what place will you go? Because all places are of the Tao. So any place you go, you will be following it. Inescapably. Alright, one more. Perfect action, true virtue, supreme power. This is how Tao is revealed, through those who follow it completely. Though formless and intangible, it gives rise to form. Though vague and elusive, it gives rise to shape. Though dark and obscure, it is the spirit, the essence, the life breath of all things. But is it real, you ask? I say it's evidence of all the creation. From the first moment to the present, the name has been sounding. It is the gate through which the universe enters, the witness by which the universe sees. How have I come to know all this? The very name has told me, the name which is sounding right here, right now. This stuff can, it will change your life when you understand it, but understanding it is not as easy as it sounds. Because it seems like some great grand thing, but it never was. As far as an idea, but at the same time it is the grandest thing. So that's it for episode 1. Episode 2 will be Buddhism. I'm excited for that one as well. They are very similar. So hopefully you watch this one first, or you watch them in succession, because Taoism and Buddhism are very similar. So thank you for being a part of the first episode of The Wanderer.